Welcome back to my next playthrough series. I'm excited about this one. I really enjoy this show, and I think this board game, from what I have seen so far, looks pretty fun. It's kind of Eldritch Horror light, has some mechanics similar, and wow, lots to look at here. I know there are already a few videos up that show the game off in components from Jazzco. This is a Jazzco game and Lindor Studios, I think. Something like that. If you do a search, you will find it. So the gist of this game is you play between 1 and 6 of the good players versus the board. So the board has an AI that activates every turn, and you play basically the Buffy and her friends trying to defeat the big bad. And there are 6 big bads that come with the game. We're going to be playing against the Master, and I'll show you him in a second. But there's also Mayor Wilkins, there's Adam, there's Glorificus, Caleb, and the First Evil. And I won't show you those because it'll take too long to look at everything. But okay, so basically for setup, what I'm going to do is this is the board, of course. It's very Arkham Horror-like with locations. Each location has a specific event or activation that you can do on it, and I'm not going to go through every one of them. We'll see them as we play the game, basically. And I'm going to be playing a 4-player game. And it's 100% co-op as well. There's no semi-co-op, there's no hidden traitor, there's none of that. This is just straight co-op against the big bad, as it should be. And so I'm going to be playing with Buffy, Giles, Xander, and Willow. And just to let you know, so Buffy starts off in the Summers residence, which is the location up here. Giles starts off at UC Sunnydale, Xander starts off at Sunnydale High, and Willow starts off in the Magic Box. And this board game encompasses all 7 seasons of the show as well, but it does not take into account the comic books, I don't believe, or any of the fiction books that were written. So it's just strictly based on the show. Wow, lots to go over. Okay, I guess I'm going to show you our characters first. So we'll start with Buffy. Now, when we look at this card, and it's all original artwork for this game as well, so it's no photos from the show or old artwork from book covers or anything. It's all brand new art for the show, and on the back of each character card is a full picture of the artwork. And I believe, from what I've heard, is the actors and actresses, and maybe the studio as well, had to approve the artwork for the characters before they printed it for the game. So very cool. So we look here, they have the name at the top, Buffy Summers. Well, if you know Buffy, you know that is Buffy. And it says here you start in the Summers residence with 1 wooden stake. So we'll take a look at the wooden stake card. So they're item cards, of course, in the game. She starts with a wooden stake. And so for a fight action, use 1 fight action to dust 1 vampire in your location, and it has a discard effect. During your turn, you may discard this card to dust a vampire in your location without using an action. And so each character has 3 all-purpose actions and 1 special action. Now, the only thing that's different between characters is their special actions. So once I show you the general actions you can take, they're all the same for all characters. Only the specials are different. So when I show you the Giles, Xander, and Willow, we'll be looking just at their specials. So for a search action, you search your location to draw 2 items. Where it doesn't matter what location you're on, boom, you can do a search, you can draw 2 items. You can fight, and if you fight, it says fight to stun 1 vampire in your location. So there are vampires and there are demons. There's monsters of the week, which are tougher than, of course, vampires or demons. And, of course, there's the big bad, and we're playing the Master. This specifically just says fight to stun a vampire, so you cannot just fight to stun a demon. Or you can attempt to slay a monster of the week or big bad in your location. And I'll kind of explain a little bit of how to do that here in a minute. You can use your location's ability. And like I mentioned, each location you'll see some of them have that same symbol here. They have effects that you can use. So the Summers residence right now says remove 2 wounds from the Apocalypse track. And this right here is the Apocalypse track. You can only see half of it. It goes to the end. 11, 12. If you get 13 either dead townies or wounds on the apocalypse track, the Hellmouth opens and Sunnydale is enveloped in evil, and you lose. All right, so you can move, and you move to any location. So you're seeing a bunch of arrows on the board here. That's just for vampire and demon movement to show which locations are adjacent. But if you take a move action, like Buffy here can move anywhere she wants. She can move down here to the crypt. She can move catacombs. Anywhere you want is the move action. It's not just adjacent. Now her special ability down here is she can perform a move action and fight action in any order. So if she spends her special token, she can move and fight or fight and move. Normally you can only either just fight or just move for one of your regular activations. Her special activation, she can do them both at the same time. And it says, after performing the fight action, stun all baddies in your location. So yes, vampires and demons can be stunned, which means they're not going to be able to activate during the end of the round turn where they would activate. That's Buffy. Okay. And I know it's going to take a little while to explain a bunch of things here. Next, we're going to look at Giles, and we're going to skip all of the regular actions because they're the same. He starts at UC Sunnydale, and he starts with the Tomes item. Well, of course, he's the book guy, so he's going to have the Tome. The Watcher is always carrying books around. So he can search to stun a demon in any location, and I do believe this icon is misprinted on the cards. This should be the search icon, which is the eyeball, not the fist. So this is not a fight action using a tome, it's actually a search action. It says here, search to stun a demon in any location. It also has a discard effect. Discard on your turn. You may discard this card to draw one artifact card without using an action. So you can discard this to get an artifact. Of course, artifacts are much stronger than regular items. There's 19 of them in the game. You shuffle them up at the beginning, so you don't know which one you're going to get. His special action is he can reveal the top 4 items, choose 2 to draw, and discard the others. And his passive ability is he can always have 1 extra item. So you're only ever allowed to have 3 items at one time, but Giles can have 4. Okay, on to the next character we're going to be playing, and that will be Xander Harris. And he starts at Sunnydale High School, which we've shown you now on the board is right here. Excuse me. And he starts with the Holy Water. And what does Holy Water have to say? You can use a fight action to stun 1 vampire in any location. And when you use this action, you do not discard the card because it has a discard effect. I should also mention you can use the fight action for Holy Water, and then you can also discard it. So you can do them both in the same turn, but of course when you do that, it's discarded. Discard effect. Discard during your turn. You may discard this card to stun 1 vampire at any location without using an action. So you could actually do a regular fight action, stun a vampire in any location, and then you can discard Holy Water to do it to another vampire in another location. So, but then of course you get rid of the card and you're going to have to use a search action to start getting more cards back. All right. Excuse me again. His special action. Choose another character. You and that character in any order each perform a basic action without spending an action token. So if he uses his special action token, he gets to perform any basic action, and one other character, no matter where they are on the board, gets to also do 1 basic action, and that's anywhere on the board. And I should mention, when you spend your special action, that means you must draw an event card. And event cards are the way that townies, demons, and vampires come out and populate the board. And there's special text on the bottom of the event cards, and we're going to see that in a second because we're not quite finished with setup, but I'm just going to show you the characters, and then we're going to finish the setup, and I don't know if we're even going to get to 1 turn because there's still a bunch of stuff to show and explain. So this might just be intro and setup. Willow Rosenberg. She starts in the magic box, and she starts with magic supplies, of course. So her magic supplies, it just has 1 action, doesn't have a discard one. It's just a search action. There's the search icon, the eye, that should be on the tome as well. Her search action, search to remove 1 wound token from the apocalypse track, and that becomes important. But like I said, once or if this apocalypse track ever fills up to 13, you lose the game. You're finished. Her special ability is quite awesome. And it's discard any number of magic supplies. For each discarded, defeat one baddie anywhere. So that's vampire or demon. And it can also be used, she can use her special token for a fight as well. Or, sorry, she can use either of these fights for a basic action, I believe, because this is a purple basic action. So she's pretty nasty as far as fighting goes. Fight to slay one baddie in your location if you have magic supplies. So if she has magic supplies, instead of doing this fight activity for a basic action, she can use this one, which is really cool. But that's in her location. So that's Willow Rosenberg. So yes, I chose those 4 because, let's face it, there are the original 4 from the first series, our first season on. The other 2 playable characters you get in the game, and let's hope there's some expansions later on, are Angel and Spike. But I didn't bother playing with them. I wanted to play with the original 4 because that's, even though Angel was in the first episode, but he didn't really join the team until quite a while later. So original 4, that's what we're playing with. Oh, talking a lot. Okay, and next up, I'm going to show you the Master. And there are 6 of these big cardboard things, and there's, of course, the Big Bad. So we are playing against the Master, and there are these at the end of each round effects on the Master card. There are also at the end of each round effects on the board in 2, 4, 5 different locations. I'm going to show you at the end of this video sort of the sequence of play after we get set up, so you'll be able to look at that. All right, so what does the Big Bad have to say for himself? Well, this is him, of course. We know he's the Master. So at the end of each round, a vampire lurks at each location containing a clue token. And I'll explain the clue tokens here in a bit as well. And it says when the Master reveals himself. Well, how that happens is you must defeat the 3 monsters of the week first, and then you must investigate after defeating the monster of the week, if that makes sense. But it will here when I show you monsters of the week. And then there's a special. Once he is revealed, we're going to be drawing an event card, which you're going to see here shortly. And we're going to look at the symbol at the bottom of the event card. And whatever that symbol is, that's what we're going to do. And nasty, nasty stuff. So we're playing against the Master. The Master has a little standee. When he gets revealed, he will appear, I believe it's the Hellmouth is where he shows up. No surprise there. Okay, what else do we have? We have 3 monsters of the week. Now there are 18 monster of the week cards, and there are 6 master plot cards. There's basically 6 of these cards for every one of the 6 big bads in the game. You shuffle them up and you pick 3 of them. You take the 18 monsters of the week, shuffle them up, and you choose 3 of them. I don't know which ones they are. We're going to find out what the first one is here very shortly. So there's 3 of these, and I just put the monster of the week on top of the plot card, because how this works, let's just reveal the monster of the week. And of course the monster of the week comes with the monster of the week token, which is this. And again, there's 18, so you can get a bunch of different ones. So we're going to figure out how to do that here. I think I'm just going to rearrange the camera a little bit so we can finish up the setup, and then I will explain a little bit about how you defeat monsters of the week, and then how we're going to defeat the big bad and win the game. And then I think that's going to be the end of the setup and intro, and the next episode will be getting right into some gameplay. Alright, so we're going to reveal the first monster of the week, and we're going to place this token down on the board, and I've had a quick look at it because I wanted to know where to put the camera so we didn't have to fool around. So the first monster of the week is the Bezoar, and the Bezoar appears at the Hellmouth, which is right here. So we can leave it as monster of the week side up, or we can leave the token there. I might leave it as monster of the week facing up, so it's a little easier to read probably on camera, and it might be a little easier to keep track of where it is. Of course, the Bezoar was that big amorphous blob thing underneath Sunnydale High, and it was part of where the little eggs were hatching and taking over people, and they looked like little face huggers from Alien that Buffy, of course, speared one with a pair of scissors. But anyway, that's beside the point. That's the Bezoar. And it basically has a special ability while it's out and about, or in its lair there. It says, during monster activation, each townie wounds a character in its location. That could be problematic. And now, how do you defeat monsters of the week? It says here, item requirements. You need a tome, and you need weapons. We haven't looked at the weapons card, but it's one of the items. You must discard these items to try to take out the monster of the week. And it says discard items, then check to succeed. And how you check to succeed is you're going to flip over an event card. On the bottom of the event is a symbol. If the symbol matches one of these two symbols, the Bezoar is defeated. If it does not match it, the Bezoar is not defeated, and it stays where it is, and you still lose your items that you've used. And, okay, so if you defeat it, it would be defeated, and one of these clue tokens are going to drop into the location. So that monster of the week gets defeated, and I believe the next monster of the week then will get revealed afterwards. If you investigate this clue token with a search action afterwards, then you are going to reveal this plot card. So we're basically going to be defeating monsters of the week to unveil the plot of the big bad. Once all 3 monsters of the week have been defeated and all 3 plot cards have been searched or flipped over so we know what they do, that's when the big bad himself is going to appear on the board. And of course you need to try and defeat him. And how you defeat the big bad in the end is, again, on the plot cards there's also requirements and symbols, so we're going to have to defeat all 3 plot cards to defeat the big bad. So we have the Bezoar out here getting its eggs ready to take over all the inhabitants of Sunnydale. Of course, we need to try and shut down its egg production under Sunnydale High. That's the big bad. Now for the last part of setup, once again, I'm going to adjust the camera here a little bit because we want to be able to get the whole board in, and then you'll get to have a look at event cards. So how we finish up setup is you're going to flip over 1 event card per every player in the game. So I'm playing a 4-player game, so we're going to flip over 4 event cards. And I'll show you the anatomy of the event card here as soon as I adjust the camera. But basically that's how we're going to populate vampires and demons and townies onto the board. So that's going to be then the finishing up the setup. And if I can think of any other more specific things that we need to deal with, I will explain it then. Otherwise, I think that's going to be the end of the setup and introduction. And then next episode, we're going to get into trying to foil the Master and his evil plan. Okay, I think this encompasses the entire board, not perfectly, but good enough for our purposes. So these are the backs of the event cards, and I think there's about, I can't remember, I think there's about 60 or so of the event cards. And I apologize for the glare, but I've sleeved everything because I don't like destroying the cards. And these cards to me seem in good quality, but they seem very thin. So, whatever, it is what it is. Not going to worry about it too much, but there's a whole pile of them. So we're going to draw 4 of them. And for the initial setup, we're not going to activate the text on the bottom. We're just populating vampires, demons, and townies. So card number 1 off the top. And this is the anatomy of the event card. It'll show you 2 locations, and then it'll have a text at the bottom, and there's a symbol on the bottom of the card. So we're not going to look at the text here for setup. We're just going to place vampires, demons, and townies here. So at Glorificus's mansion, a vampire lurks at Glorificus's mansion. So vampires, we have a bunch of little tokens. So Glorificus's mansion, of course, is up here at the top of the board. So we have a vampire lurking there. And we have a demon terrorizes the Summers residence. Well, gee, Buffy's right there, so maybe she can lay a hurt on it. And that's where we're going to get a demon. So that's card 1. It's going to get discarded. Again, we don't look at the text at the bottom. Card number 2, because we have 2 players. The vampire lurks at the Summers residence. Wow, Buffy's got quite a crew here. So she has a demon and a vampire now in her space. And then we also have a townie needs help at Glorificus's mansion. Well, indeed, he or she does. And we have a whole pile of, we have 26 actually, exactly, townies. So this little poor townie is out at Glorificus's mansion with a vampire. That's not what you want to have happen. That was 2 event cards, and again, we're ignoring the text on the bottom. The third, a vampire lurks at City Hall. Okay, out comes a vampire, City Hall, and for the third card, a demon terrorizes the bronze. So we have a demon at the bronze. Okay, this is looking pretty populated. The bronze is over here. And the last card for setup is going to be a vampire lurks at the Shadow Valley Vineyards. Okay, let's get a vampire there. Shadow Valley Vineyards here. And lastly, for setup, a townie needs help at the Magic Box. Well, Willow is there right now, so that's okay. We're going to grab a townie, and townies come in 2 flavors, female and male. Oh, and I should say on the back of all the townie tokens are wound symbols. So these are what we're going to be using to populate the Apocalypse track, and Willow has a townie with her there. So that's going to conclude the setup. So basically the board is set. Our Buffy, Giles, Xander, and Willow all have their 1 item. They all have their actions all flipped over, ready to go. Oh, and I should also mention there's a first player token. Buffy, if she's in the game, is automatically first player. If she's not in the game, then you randomly decide. Or the last person to have watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer will be the first player. Otherwise, it's Buffy. Okay, there's 26 of these townies. Another way to lose the game, if you ever need to add a wound to the Apocalypse track, or I think it's just add a wound to the Apocalypse track and you don't have any wounds / townies left to pull, you lose the game. You basically get overrun. I believe as well if you need to pull a townie out and you don't have any left, you lose the game too, but I might not be right on that one. But anyway, there's a couple of ways to lose. One way to win, we have to take down the Master. And so I'm going to leave this episode off here. I guess I can mention one more thing. There's also garlic item cards in the game, and discarding a card is a free action in this game. And so if, for instance, if Buffy's here and she has a garlic item card, she can discard it to put a garlic here. What it means is vampires will not move into a location with garlic. They will just sort of, if this one wanted to move here, instead of moving here, it would stay where it is, but the garlic would get discarded. So that's how garlic works. And I guess I will show you one last thing, and that's the back of the rule book, and it gives you the sequence of plays. It gives you monster activation. I won't read all of this because it's not super complicated, but you have to follow the steps of monster activation. Basically, the big bad, if he's out, activates first, then the monster of the week activates, and then finally baddies activate. So there's a sequence of activation. Of course, there won't be a monster of the week out if the big bad is out, because you'll have defeated the 3 monsters of the week already. So the round sequence, round starts, flip action tokens and trigger events, and monster activation, and then end of round. So end of round, so basically, and how the turns happen. So Buffy's going to do 1 action, and then Giles is going to do 1 action. Then Xander's going to do 1 action, Willow's going to do 1 action, and we're going to go back to Buffy. And it just keeps going and going and going. You have to use all 4 of your actions every round. You cannot not use actions. So you got to use them all, whether you want to or not. That means, because we're playing a 4-player game, every round, every one of our characters has to use their special action. When you use your special action, after you finish doing the action, you must pull an event card and do all of it, including the text at the bottom. Now, when everybody's finished doing all their activations and things, then we're going to do an end of round, and that's where we're going to flip all stunned enemy tokens face up. Then we're going to follow at the end of each round instructions on the big bad's board, and he's got one It's at the end of each round. A vampire lurks at each location containing a clue token. Okay, and you get clue tokens by defeating the monster of the week. And then each location has special effects as well that happen during that part of the game. Sounds all very complicated. I'm sure it will work out fine when we're playing it. Then we're going to check all passive locations. That's what I just said. Then you pass the first player token clockwise, and all players are going to flip over their action tokens again. So Buffy's starting the game. She's going to go first, so it's just going to keep going one action each all the way around until everyone's done all 4 actions, and then that'll be round 1. And when round 1's completely finished, the first player token then will then pass to Giles. He'll be first player. Round and round and round we go. And so that's, wow, I've been talking a long time. That's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the board game. This is currently February 2017. I just got the game, basically. This is going to be my first playthrough as well. So I have not played it yet. I've just set it all up, and I'm going to film a series here. So if I get some things messed up, I have been checking the Board Game Geek site for questions and clarifications and things. So I'm hoping to not make too many errors. Anyway, thanks so much for watching along. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. Thanks for liking my videos with a thumbs up if you do. Join me next time for the first probably couple rounds of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm pretty excited about this game. Looks really fun. And we're going to see if we can take down the Master. I don't know how hard or easy this game is, but let's find out. So join me next time, and we'll see what happens. So thanks so much for watching along.